is Charles Miller, and I'm very happy to be here today. I have to say I've worked in agriculture or been on a farm my entire life, and most of that has been outside of my home country, the U.S. And now my new home country is the Netherlands. I'm the commercial director for a potato breeding program, a company named Sowing. And I'm not going to bore you too much with some of the things that people have said before, but you know, the population is about 7 billion. It's growing to about 10 billion in the next 30 years. We have a huge challenge in front of us. But until recently, I didn't really understand what that challenge implied. This number on the screen is the number of people that today have died from malnutrition. And this number is going to be about 33,000 by the time we go to bed tonight. This is going to happen each and every day. And to me, that really drives home the point of what a company like Sowing needs to do for the future and what we as a planet need to do. So we have a huge task in front of us. We have to produce more food, more nutritious food. We have to do it with less water and with less impact on our planet. When we think about some of the products that the world's typically producing, think about wheat. To produce 1 kilo of wheat costs us about 1,200 liters of water. To produce 1 kilo of potatoes, on the other hand, costs 200 liters of water. Potatoes are nutritious. They're a huge source of vitamin C. They're a good source of B6. They're a good source of iron. They're also a very good source of potassium. And potatoes, done correctly, can help us reduce the impact that pesticides have on the planet. Quoting from the FAO, potatoes are more nutritious food on less land, with less water, and in harsher climates than any other major food crop. But, probably didn't know this, potatoes don't have sex. And without sex, there's no new generations, there's no seeds. Without sex, there's no opportunity for plant breeders to improve and target improvements in potatoes. That's one of the things that Sowing set out to change. You know, to prove my point, the potato that's grown the most in North America, my home country, so I know this, is the russet Burbank. The russet Burbank potato was released in 1875, 150 years ago. With all the technology at our fingertips, with all the knowledge and learning that we've had in that 150 years, we have yet to produce a better potato. To me, it's amazing. Why? There are two major drawbacks for potatoes. There's what I call hodgepodge breeding. Basically, it comes down to the fact that they don't have sex. Secondly, there's a very bad starting material. Typically, potatoes are grown from remnant tubers that are left over from last year's harvest. Basically, they've been degraded genetically, they've been degraded by the weather, they've been degraded by their storage conditions. And every farmer knows that the key to success is good starting material. All right, so let's talk about genetics. Now, I've said that there's a hodgepodge of breeding and genetics. Well, if you wanted to do something simple, and that's produce a pink flowering potato that had very large tubers and 9 other valuable traits. Maybe they make good French fries, maybe they're drought resistant. It's a list of 11 traits, and really that's not very much. You would have to plant 131 quintillion plants. To do that, you would have to plant a landmass the size of 50 planet Earths. Okay, well that sounds like a problem, but the real problem would actually be for the people you'd have to hire to look at each one of those plants and tell you which one had the 11 traits you were looking for. But at Sowing, we created hybrid potatoes. We've got homogeneous parent lines, And with those homogeneous parent lines, we're able to combine the male and the female in a targeted, predictable, fast, and efficient way so that we can organize those 9 traits the way they should be. Well, you know, most people told us that that was completely impossible. You know, our friends told us we were crazy, so on every angle, we didn't feel very supported. But, you know, when backed into a corner, you have to prove yourself. And that's what we did. And we decided if we're going to prove ourselves, let's do it with something that has caused a dramatic impact to the planet. And that's late blight. Late blight is the single largest negative thing to impact potato farmers. Globally, it's a $6 billion euro issue. Yet, it hasn't been solved. Now, that's not to say that it hasn't tried. There is a potato variety there called Biotica that has one truly resistant gene to Phytophthora. Now, that potato took 50 years to develop. So we decided to make our technology demonstrated. And to do that, you can see here, we planted several fields of different types of potatoes. Ours being R2, and R2 stands for a 2-trait stack of resistances to Phytophthora. We did that in 2 years, and we were able to do it because of hybrid breeding. Okay, enough about genetics. Let's talk about the product. Like I said in the past, potatoes are planted from tubers. Normally, to plant a hectare of potatoes, you need 2,500 kilos of tubers. But if your delivery system is seeds, 25 grams will plant that same hectare. This tube right here on this table has enough seeds in it to equal the tuber volume of a 20-foot container. Imagine the differences that's going to make on the planet on so many levels. You don't have to store the tubers in a refrigerated area if you're in a good environment. If you're in Africa, you don't need an extra house. We don't need roads or big trucks running over the roads. We don't need ships. We simply give the seed in that tube to the mailman. And the seeds aren't contaminated. They're healthy. And we can ensure that with lots of ways. And we don't have to deal with multiplication issues that tubers are dealing with. Typically speaking, one tuber is going to create 10 copies per year. And that means that it takes a long time to create a scale-up model of any new variety. At minimum 8 years to produce 100 million tubers. With seeds, however, we can make 25 million clean copies per year. And over the course of 18 months, we can produce 250 million tubers. That's a big change. And if we can target the breeding to the right needs in the environment, we can get the product there fast. Speaking of that, in Africa, and to kind of bring this back around to why we're here, the countries that plant potatoes typically have quite low yields, significantly lower than what we're used to in Europe. And the Sowing project is not just something that works in a greenhouse. It's something that works in the fields in Africa. These yields, for example, are from Zimbabwe. And you can see that we've effectively tripled local yields. And this is something with continued improvement, local adaptation, and focused breeding, we hope we can enhance even further. At Sowing, we're unlocking the true potential of potatoes. I really appreciate the attendance today. I'm looking forward to being here for the rest of the Congress. And if you have any questions, please come and see me afterwards. Thank you.